Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on, and welcome to Divers Ready. My name is James. It's so great to see all of your smiling faces, and welcome to the next in our installment of videos that we call Quick Tips, where I try and cram as much of my scuba diving knowledge about a particular topic into a video 5 minutes or less. And in this installment, I'm going to get handsy with you because we're going to be talking gloves for scuba diving. Let me preface this video by saying that my preference is always to be barehanded in the water whenever possible, but there are two circumstances under which I choose to wear gloves. And one is if I want to protect my hands from cuts and abrasions in the water, and the second is if I think it's going to be cold and I want to protect my hands and thermally insulate them. Those are the only two reasons. So what I'm going to do is walk you over to the table over there, and I'll go through my decision-making process as to whether or not to wear gloves and which gloves I choose. So while I'm setting the camera up over there, you guys subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so already, because we really appreciate your support. Okay. I've got all the gloves here that I use for scuba diving. Let's have a look at the ones that I use to protect my hands first and foremost. These gloves have no thermal insulation properties whatsoever. They're purely there to stop my hands from getting cuts and abrasions. How would you cut your hands while scuba diving, James? Well, here in South Florida we have a lot of wrecks and I love diving them. Also, you're allowed to fish on these shipwrecks. So consequently, the mooring lines that we use for ascent and descent are normally wrapped up with a lot of fishing tackle, hooks in particular. In addition to that, we also have razor clams, which, as the name suggests, are incredibly sharp. So as we're making our ascent and descent up and down the mooring lines, I like to have my hands protected because those things will cut your fingers to shreds in no time at all. Now, top tip for you, if you're buying gloves to protect your hands, do not go with a scuba branded product. There are a lot of gloves out there, particularly with the spearfishing community, that you can get that are nylon and they're nitrile dipped. They've got the nice sort of hardened plastic protective coating on the inside. They're incredibly expensive. They're 25, 30 bucks a pair, just because they've got a little scuba diving logo, maybe a cute little hammerhead on the back of the hand. The exact same gloves are available at your local hardware store in the US for $5. These are the exact same gloves, so you're going to save yourself about $20 or $30 a pair. I also use sort of more robust gloves that have knuckle protection and so on for wreck penetration. These are synthetic leather gloves, again from the hardware store, and again like under $10 a pair. So those are my choices for protecting my hands. To keep my hands warm, you've got to go to neoprene, and for neoprene, I do absolutely prefer a dive brand because they're neoprene experts. So until recently, I was using these gloves. They're from Scuba Pro, and they're 3mm, or they were. Don't forget the neoprene over time, as it expands and contracts, eventually loses its thickness. So these were 3mm gloves at one point in time. They have a nice grippy handle, and down here in Florida, that's all I really need. I would always recommend that for gloves and booties, you go with the thinnest gloves you can get away with so that you stay as dexterous as possible when it comes to using tools underwater like a reel, SMB, lights, cameras, and so on. As you can see there, these gloves are starting to wear out, so I wanted to replace them as winter approaches here in Florida and the water temperature gets a little bit cooler. And what I've decided to go with instead are these kind of hybrid gloves from Bear. And this video is not sponsored by any of the companies I'm mentioning here. These are a lot thinner, but they promise the same warmth as 3mm just neoprene gloves, and they achieve that by a 3-layer design. So you have a windproof shell on the outside, which is actually supposed to be water repellent. Then you have a traditional neoprene on the inside, which is doing the most of the warmth work there. Then the inside of them actually have a fleece lining, which is Very cozy, just like their wetsuits. You guys know I've been using Bear wetsuits for a long time. So hopefully these achieve the same level of warmth, but with more of a modern design. They're a little bit thinner. And again, that thinner glove is going to help you when it comes to dexterity in using tools underwater. On that subject, if you are intending to use gloves, whether they be for protection or for warmth, you might want to think about what you're going to be doing with your hands underwater. For example, bolt snaps. Quite often I'll use the smallest bolt snaps I can get away with, which is usually a medium. I have quite big hands. But with gloves on, that becomes more of a tricky task than it should be. So sometimes for stage bottles in the winter, I'll swap out the bolt snaps for a much bigger, chunkier option. And these are a lot easier to use with gloves on. Let's talk about where you should wear gloves. A lot of tropical destinations around the world are banning scuba divers from wearing gloves because it prevents idiot divers from touching coral and other marine life that they absolutely shouldn't be messing with, and I fully support that. Some examples would be Key Largo, Bonaire, the Cayman Islands. Inside those places, marine parks, you're not allowed to wear gloves. So my recommendation for all of you guys is to check with the destinations where you're heading to dive to see if gloves are even allowed, because that might help prevent you from packing unnecessary items. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is everything I consider about gloves when I'm going scuba diving. I hope this video helped you. If it did, let us know in the comments below what other quick tips videos you'd like to see. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so already, and click that little notification bell so you don't miss any of our future content. Until next time, my name's James. This was your quick tips video for this week from Divers Ready. Dive safe, dive often.